Hello all! I've decided I want to add some happy into the gloomy days that we've been having lately with a flower palette. I'm using a significant amount of clay for this, so I would probably recommend using a puffy foam clay rather than a hardening clay like the one I'm using, strictly because using that type of clay left this creation a lot heavier than I anticipated. I went through the basic motions of kneading the clay, warming it up with my hands, and rolling it out to my at the time desired thickness, though that does change later on. I used a jar lid to get the circle-shaped base. Smooth out the edges with water, and then continued onto the petals. For the base of the petals, I decided to utilize some old lids I had laying around. These ones are from, I believe, Gatorade bottles, and give it a base shape to work off of. And also for some added stability. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I am cutting around it. I made quite a few of these, which I had already previously determined the number of by placing the bottle caps around the base, easily enough as a teardrop shape. Once I had them all cut out, I pushed the bottle cap into the clay. And then began on the pistil, which is just the inside of the flower, purely with back and forth slashes. That's when I realized I wanted everything to be a little bit thicker, which is where the weight started coming from. I added more clay onto the first petal and made the rest a little bit thicker as I continued, building up the sides around the cap and smoothing down any edges. And using some clay on the inside though, this isn't necessary if you do just want to paint over this with a white. Now continue that with as many petals as your flower may have. Once I started doing them thicker, I didn't need to build up the sides as much, but instead I cut out the shape and then dug out the middle portion, set the cap in, and make sure everything was as cohesive as possible to attach them all. I simply brought my base back, scored the circumference of the pistil, as well as around the edge of the petal and placed it on, propping it up with something stable so it dried right. Adding the next ones on though, I followed the same steps but also scored in between each of them, so not only did they stick to the base, but they stuck to each other as well to again give a lot more stability. Finally, I took some more clay and placed it in between each petal, both adding some water onto it to smooth down any edges and just using a nail dotting tool to make sure it got into every single crook and crevice. correcting any lines and detailing that I may have lost in the process. And then once that was dry, I came in with a white base paint, which I just use an acrylic paint you can get from the dollar store. For the middle, it was a base of brown, and a sponge to keep it as textured as possible. And because I wanted this to be a sunflower, I started out with a bright ass yellow, which is why I needed the white base to start for every single petal. Follow that up using the other side of the disposable sponge and an orange to add a gradient effect. Just went back and forth between the yellow and the orange to make it as gradient as possible. A great gradient. It could be left like this, but my too much gene kicked in and I wanted to add resin to it, of course. And some detailing to each pot, which are actually just flowers. I'd pick some flowers and put them onto wax paper. And flattened them for about a week. I actually put them in a book and then added a very, very heavy box on top of them.
1 week later.
And let those sit for 1 week. So I was able to place them flat into each cap. I mixed together some resin and poured just enough in each cap to go around the entire bottom perimeter, placing a flower in each. And then adding resin over top of that, as well as just an entire round of resin all over the entire thing to again add more cohesion to it, but also to make it so it's more stable and secure. I had picked these flowers being sure to have one of each color of the rainbow, except green. I just used leaf because green flowers are apparently extremely hard to come by. Oh, and blue. But I digress. Anyways, that is it for today's video, and I do hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.